Dans le film de Bridget Jones, Mark Darcy dit à Bridget, je t'aime exactement comme tu es. Et ça, c'est très important. Elle n'est pas parfaite, elle n'est pas très mince, elle n'a pas de grand succès dans le monde, mais elle est gentille, elle est très rigolote, elle est loyale, fière, oui, fidèle. Elle est une très bonne amie.
J'aime bien les filles de désastre comme ça. Je sais pas, c'est charmante. Et puis c'est sexy, je sais pas pourquoi exactement. J'aime bien quand les filles ont un peu de nourriture sur la jupe, par exemple.
I think that she's clearly a very bright person. I think that this is essential as an ingredient. She's not a hopeless case. You know, she's not an imbecile. I think she's someone who feels that she's an imbecile. I think one of the most defining things about her is that she's telling the story of somebody who is constantly making errors of judgment. She's constantly getting it wrong. She's looking for happiness and love in all the wrong places. She doesn't know what's good for her. She starts every day with absurdly high hopes and finishes them absolutely crushed from disillusionment, i.e., she's all of us, I think, in some ways, or at some time or other. And I think that dichotomy between her dreams and all continually renewed hopes and her self-loathing.
With Bridget, we spent 2 years looking for Bridget because I had no preconceived notion of who she should be. And I was really surprised when I met Renee that what she had I wanted, which was a warmth and a vulnerability coupled with an irreverence, which was exactly the balance that I think we needed for the character. And also she had a fantastic physical comedy, a bit like Lucille Ball, that type of physical comedy, which was what I'd never really seen that until she brought it, and I thought that's very interesting because she can do that with truth.
Renée Zellweger, bien sûr, est américain. Les gens en Angleterre étaient très choqués. Et ça, c'était très touchant parce que les gens en Angleterre aiment beaucoup Bridget et ils ne veulent pas qu'elle est américaine.
Ignorance is bliss, and I was probably aware of it for about 2 minutes, only because of my job at the office where I had to cut clippings of anything pertaining to Bridget Jones because they represented Helen Fielding in the book. So beyond that, I didn't know anything about it, and so any criticism or angst or anything that came from the periphery externally, I was unaware of. We had a real little world, It was about go to work, go home, prepare for work, go to work, go home, prepare for work, and that was my world. Anything that was happening politically or whether it was raining, I was oblivious. So anything that was being projected onto our little experience didn't really make its way in, and I guess that's good because it remained a pretty pure and creative experience because of that.
I could understand the controversy when it first happened, but I think a lot of the British press didn't realize that she wasn't being cast because she was an American or because she was a star, because she wasn't really a star when she was cast in this film. It was just because they really thought she had the right qualities. She was lovable and vulnerable and a little bit of a disaster herself, and the only problem was that she happened to be Texan.
It was like she read my mind at that point because she said to me, if we don't get this right, you and me are so busted. So I thought, yeah, I can trust this person. She's going to work to make sure she transforms herself, mainly to do with the accent, really transforms the accent into a British accent. And she did. She worked very hard at that.
Renée a fait beaucoup d'efforts de parler très bien avec un accent anglais. Elle a travaillé dans mon publisher, Picador, pour apprendre ça. Et elle a gagné un peu de poids dur. Et ça, c'est très important.
I could see it from the moment I met her. She spoke as an English woman all the time.
Even out of the...
Even off the set.
Really?
Yeah. And I would never have guessed at any point that she was from anywhere but outer London.
I had strong ideas of who I wanted to play the men in the film. You know, I wanted Hugh and Grant to play Daniel Cleaver because he's basically always plays a decent person, and I thought it would be interesting if he played a bastard.
Je m'emmerde un peu de cette image de quelqu'un de très génial et poli et tout ça. C'est toujours plus amusant pour les comédiens de jouer le vilain. Je sais pas exactement pourquoi. Il y a peut-être plus de la vie.
He's not a bastard. He's kind of sexy and naughty. There's a very naughty side to Hugh that you know it's just kind of smutty and more down to earth, and it's very funny. And that was exactly what we needed for the character. What Hugh had within himself, which is a brilliantly dirty sense of humour, which the character uses as a weapon and as an asset and as a barrier against his own despair. And so it was just ideal. It was perfect for Hugh to play this part. With Colin, the part in the actual character in the book is based on Colin Firth playing Mr. Darcy on British television in Pride and Prejudice. So that was kind of an easy one, really.
Je pense pas que le livre est anti-homme, parce que il y a beaucoup des hommes qui aiment ce livre.
Anti-guy? Oh, absolutely not. Oh, I think they just represent different sides of a man's journey in life. You know, finding out what a man's struggle in finding a mate or happiness is all about. I think it's wonderful. I think here we have the guy who has this set of values, and here's a fella who is looking for something different. I think it makes it completely relatable for men. In fact, I think it translates as a man's journey because of that.
I don't think it's anti-guy. It's clearly written by someone who may have suffered a little bit at the hands of men. But on the contrary, I think she's rather obsessed with men, probably to an unhealthy degree. I have some feminist girls in my office in London who think, you know, the book's an abomination because of its non-feminist qualities.
Men sometimes find it a bit alarming to get to see women being funny. It's very often, I think, in a lot of cultures, it's only men who are expected to be funny. It's a kind of male prowess. The woman is supposed to sit and laugh, you know, ingratiatingly and flirtatiously, while the men compete and spar to amuse the girl. And often women are not accepted as comedians unless they're not too sexy. You know, I think this is a kind of a rather underlying fear that men have. And any occasion in which a woman is writing in a way that's witty and trenchant and, you know, effective, and it's galvanizing women, men immediately think, you know, they must all be scary Amazons and they're plotting against us and they're out to get us, you know. So I think that the perception, it purely comes from almost superstitious attitude to women being funny and finding a kind of clubbability.
One thing that was important to me was that the actors had a certain amount of freedom to ad-lib, because that's a bit more dangerous. It makes the job a bit more interesting if you think, I don't know what they're going to do on this take. And so so that was lots of scope for laughter there, because in the panties scene, Hugh ad-libbed that totally, so I didn't know that he was going to say what he said, and so I was cracking up behind the monitor on that scene, and he did that a lot, and so did Colin, and so did Renee. So that was always exciting, and it was a case of kind of behind the monitor trying not to laugh out loud. Plus, Hugh's very naughty as well on set. He goes around drawing on people's arms and things like that, and he's just very, you know, he's not always kind of as serious-minded as he should be, which is thankfully what we needed, you know, to get through some days.
That I'm a homebody, that I need to go for a run every now and then to keep my head on straight, that I love fish and chips, I like beans for breakfast, who would have thunk, I don't know, that my dog is very important to me, as are my friends.